Hi, welcome to another episode of What to Say and How to Say It. My name's Nina Rosner. I am here with Kyle Hargrove. He is a licensed professional counselor, and he's one of our favorite people from the state of Texas. Like, we just really dig Texas. I'm from Montana. I think this is why we get along so well, because there's something similar to being in spaces where there's lots of space and then animals and things that can kill you on the daily. Like, that's a thing. Special kind of person. Anyway, we're here to talk about marriage today. And at the core of a lot of marriage issues is an identity crisis. So we're going to dig through three sources of identity and how it's impacting your marriage. And if you don't do something about where you're sourcing your identity, if you're getting it from the wrong places, I can tell you from experience, not just with myself, but with clients, if you don't get this right, you can't get much else done when you're trying to fix your marriage. This is the platform foundational element of literally everything that you want to change in your marriage. So before we dive into this thing, I want to direct people to our website, greaterimpactcouples.org. You can go over there, take an assessment, and see how messed up you are, or if you should be working with us. Um, the assessment is based off of data, statistically proven things that would help you be in a healthy marriage. And so go check that out, greaterimpactcouples.org. All right, so Kyle, this whole identity thing, like, why does it matter in the first place where we source it?
Wow, I wished you'd asked that question of me before we started so I could be thinking about the answer to that.
Not to put you on the spot or
Yeah,
anything.
not at all. Not at
No,
all.
no, no.
That question is so loaded, and what it's loaded with is it's loaded with experience. It's loaded with opportunities. It's loaded with opportunities to not only get it right, but to get it wrong.
Hmm.
And we are bombarded from the time we're born with sources of of information that we take in about ourselves from all different types of variables. And when we do that, those are the things that become the idea in our own minds and in our own hearts as to who we are.
Hmm.
And those become our identity. And then we go out living life with that identity. And your identity is such a determining factor and such a force in how you behave in certain situations, how you handle yourself when you need to have confidence and maybe you
Hmm.
don't,
Yeah.
and how you see yourself in light of someone that is worthy of good things happening to you and happening for you because of the hard work and the effort that you put in somewhere and so forth. So I can think of very few things that have as much power to determine the outcome of things, important things that happen in our lives than one's identity.
Yeah.
So, what is it? How big is it? Where does it come from? There are as many possibilities as there are, as there is wonderment.
Yeah.
Where
I
where
agree with
could
that.
they? What could they be? Well, name it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm running into a few places in my life right now where I don't know who I am because I've never done these things before. Like, we've got this hobby farm. So we took 30 some heritage turkeys to freezer camp uh, this weekend. Yeah, they come
That's
back
what you told
frozen.
them, right? You're going to
Yeah,
camp, guys. Yeah.
going to camp. Yeah, USDA certified freezer camp. Um, and they had a wonderful life. Like, I don't, this is gonna sound crazy, but I don't like, if you're not, and even if you are vegan, like, you're killing moles and, like, there's no way to not be. This is just who we are. We
Yeah.
need the B vitamins. And so, I think it's responsible to raise animals, but there's a lot about that and having horses on our property that I don't know. And so there's, I called my horse trainer. There was this issue with one of the horses, and I'm like, so here's what's happening. I don't know who I am in this space. And he laughed at me. He goes, okay, you mean you don't know what to do? I'm like, no, I'm just scared. And I, I don't have any confidence. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'll tell you what to do. And then you go do that, but you got to act confident because she knows she can read your mind. And I'm like, "Ah, I know she can." So, and we sorted it, and now she doesn't push past me or anything. Like, this is a big horse, but I know who I am in that space now, and now I have no issues. Like this morning, I got her out, and she walked with me. It was gentle, quiet, sweet. There was no drama, and but it was terrifying, right? So in the places where we don't know who we are, and I hear this from clients, and I know you do too, they don't even understand what's possible. They say, well, I don't know how to do that, or I've done everything I know to do. And they think that that's it. And I want to suggest today that in those spaces where we don't know how to fix it, it's because we have an identity crisis. And the basic level of that is sourcing it from the wrong place, which we've all done. Like I'm not the only one that's got it from the
Right.
wrong place. So,
Well, winging it will only take you so far. And I remember as an older teenager, having begun my career as a journalist at the age of 15,
mm,
going off to college and having a job with a local newspaper as a sports writer. And they would send me to places that a lot of people would be envious of.
mm,
And I used to be taking pictures on the sidelines of professional football games and things along
oh,
those lines. Well, even when you have a press pass, there are places in that venue that there aren't yours to be. There aren't yours to go, but you really want to. And I remember carrying with me the idea of, make it look like you belong and you can go anywhere you want. And
ah,
that works sometimes.
nice.
It does. And then there are times when you get shown the door
Hmm.
very quickly. And that happened as well. And so, am I going to say I didn't get to go places and be around people and see things that I wasn't credentialed to see? Yeah, I can say that that happened a lot. But I can also say that that only carries you so far.
Hmm.
Once you get to a point, you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know who you are. You've got to know why you're there.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of what we're talking about today has to do with direction and purpose and
Yeah.
intentionality. And so until you learn the truth about what it is that you're after and the source of where you can get that information in a way that works well for you,
Hmm.
then you're going to be limited, and that is going to also be a part of your identity, limited.
Yeah. Yep. No, I think that's absolutely true. And when you're dealing with marriage, one of the most limiting factors that you have to consider is that your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your best friends do not know how to fix your marriage.
Hmm.
They don't have identity for you in that space. So when you're talking to them and complaining, you have to understand that they love you, they want you to be happy. They don't know how to solve your problem, and so they instead of steering you in the right direction, usually they have an opinion, and because they just love you and want you to be happy, that opinion is usually will move on to somebody else.
Yeah,
See that all the time is the worst thing that you can be doing. You're gossiping and slandering your spouse and you're talking to people that will give you some identity in that space, especially if you're talking to friends that have been divorced. That's contagious, and dangerous.
yeah.
So the identity of the divorced person is then the context you're choosing to expose yourself to, super unwise. But it is a source of identity as the people around us, right?
It is. It is. And in The True Measure of a Man, a book written by Richard Simmons, not the TV guy at all. Um, but he talks about where identity typically comes from. And I'm going to read the quote so I get it right. And he says, a person gets his identity in life based on how the most important person in his life sees him.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have added to that statement in my own development of this thought that there are seasons in our lives when those important people are different.
Yeah.
Definitely your parents are very important to you as a child. And then as you become an adolescent, your peers become more important, and your parents, you want them to take a hike. And then as you grow older, it may be coaches, it could be bosses, it could be professors, and so forth. And then ultimately and eventually, it becomes your spouse.
Yeah.
And so uh, you can say things about people all day long. It doesn't make them true. People
Right.
can say things about you all day long. It doesn't make them true. They'll say them to you just to make you feel better. My parents called me smart my entire childhood, and I'm the one that shaved the kitty. That's not a smart thing to do, and
You
nor,
shaved a cat.
I don't want to go there. It was just
I've
I don't want to go in
never
depth
met
in that
anybody
story.
shaved a cat.
But
Well, you brought it up, but you do have a master's degree. Like you did have to take, the
yeah, I
test
have
to
two
be.
actually, and that's perfect proof of you don't have to be all that intelligent
You're
to
hilarious.
have higher level degrees. But um, anyway, yes, people are going to say things to us and about us, and we don't stop in that moment to contextualize what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
We just take it at face value,
Yeah.
especially when you're young and your emotions are much stronger than your logic. Um, and if you're older and your emotions are still much
Yeah, I
stronger
was
than
gonna
your
say.
logic, it doesn't necessarily undefault itself
Hmm.
without a lot of effort. Excuse me. But, you know, where else are we going to get our props, so to speak,
Hmm.
other than other people, other than the people around us, other than the ones that reward us and that give us awards and certifications and tell us that they're proud of us. The flip side of that is the people that tell us we're stupid and we're losers and we'll never amount to anything.
Hmm.
And I can go back to algebra in the ninth grade. And I missed the second week of school because I was sick. And when I came back to algebra in the ninth grade, some fool had added the alphabet to the numbers.
Yeah.
And the rest of the class was a week into this, and I
Yeah.
was lost.
Yeah. Ugh.
And I tried to do it on my own. I had been an A student in math up to that point. That's where it stopped, by the way.
Hmm.
But ultimately, I went up to the teacher's desk so many days in a row after the lesson to ask questions and get caught up. And one day he just got frustrated with me and he looked at me and he
Oh.
said, "Are you stupid or what?" In front of the whole class.
Oh gosh, I'm
So
so
not
sorry.
only was I humiliated in front of my peers, he spoke something into me that I
Yep.
believed.
Yep.
I accepted it.
Yep.
And, could I have gone back and taken other math classes as an adult? I could have. Have I? No. Am I
Right.
going to? Probably not. But it had an impact on me socially. It had an impact on me as far as my education was concerned.
Hmm.
And that impact followed me all
Uh,
the way through the end of my formal education.
yeah. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's well, and you see people do that in relationships through complaint and the words that they speak out, and if you live in an environment with someone who puts their anxiety out there or their fears or insecurities or whatever, if their way of dealing with that is to verbalize it at you for your imperfection, which you see a lot in super unhealthy relationships, then, it's really difficult to withstand that consistently. Even if you have a solid identity, like you have to know how to handle that and how to engage differently with it because
Yeah.
otherwise you are wearing it. It's like, here, put this on. It's a shirt.
Yeah.
The
Or
word
it's like the
stupid on
skin.
it.
It's even more so than clothing. It's like skin because it's with you
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave you. And I think as much as we don't understand or realize at that point in life that what people are pouring into us and speaking into us, we're wearing, they don't realize it either.
Yeah, that's fair.
They don't take into consideration, I'm going to say this hateful thing to you.
Hmm.
And you're gonna learn from it and then brush it off. No,
Nobody does
not
that.
necessarily. Nobody does that because we can go back and remember some nice, kind, wonderful things that have been said to us over the years, but we can remember every single
Hmm.
hateful thing that's been said to us over the
Yeah.
years.
That's just how the brain works. Stores it up to keep you from getting hurt again.
Yeah.
So other people sound like they're really lousy, but truthful. Like it is a truthful source of identity for most people.
Yeah.
The other people are a source of that. I find that like I know God wired us this way for survival and for thriving, and if we did all of that well, it would probably go pretty good because the wiring is there. Uh, and it's also a space where it can be super dangerous and have a lack of utility.
Yeah, it is. And I think beyond people, there are essentially two other sources
Oh,
of
yep.
of identity that come to us, and one of them's good and one of them's bad.
Yeah,
And probably if we wanted to take it a step further, there are only two,
yeah, that's true.
because the people that speak things into us are going to be impacted by wanting to help us to become confident and qualified, positive people that love ourselves and love God and love other people. And they're going to be people that just don't care.
Mm,
And they are going to be blown by whatever wind is blowing at the time. And that is going to impact what they pour in or
yep,
take out.
exactly.
And so ultimately the forces of good and evil are the things that are going to determine for us what our identities are,
Hmm.
whether people are involved or not.
Yep. Well, one of the most powerful things, and before I get too far down this path, I want to make sure that we let people know we're gonna give you how do you switch your identity before we close this today, because that's actually one of the most useful and powerful things that you need to be doing as a Christian. To save your marriage, by the way, and every other relationship you have, and be an ambassador for Christ. But one of the things that was so powerful to me was hearing Marcus Warner taught. He's the leader of Deeper Walk International and pastor, genius, PhD dude. He said that not all of the voices that you hear are your own.
Mm,
You know, you got these voices in your head, and they all sound pretty much the same. It's just what's the design, the intent behind the communication. So you're so stupid, you never get the right. I'm so stupid, I never get it right. Like I can't tell you where the source of those are. I'm thinking the I'm is me, but maybe not because the accuser lies,
yeah,
right? He's good at
yeah,
what he does. And and then God builds up, right?
yes.
So like I was gripping the steering wheel in the snow, driving in the dark the other night, pulling the horse trailer with the freezer camp ready turkeys, and I I was scared because I didn't know the road and new situation. I haven't had this truck but a couple months, and I was praying, and then I said aloud, "You've got this. God's got you, and you've got this. You got this." And my husband's sitting next to me, and he's like, "Are you talking to me?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm talking to me. I'm telling myself who I am in this moment because I'm scared right now." Because you're doing great. Like he was so supportive and kind, and he was trying to find his hotel and all this. And he's good at the hotel thing, by the way. I hate looking for hotels. But so in that moment, I had an opportunity to sort who am I? I was terrified. So there was the temptation to be, I'm scared and I can't do this. That was there. But and so you put yourself in a conflict situation with your spouse where you don't know who you are. You don't know if you can do this. You're starting to get nervous or you're starting to get emotional. It's like, who are you right then? Who is your identity? And the enemy wants you to go, You're going to screw this up again. He always does this. You always do that. And you can follow that path. That is an identity path that you can rinse well, repeat. Absolutely. Or you can choose a different path.
Yeah. And you can survive in, for an indeterminable amount of time with an identity that doesn't serve you well, that doesn't suit
Yes.
you well, that is not the best version of you.
Hmm.
But thriving is a different story.
Yeah, you
You know?
can't thrive unless
Yeah.
you're listening to God.
And you're talking about those thoughts in your head, and that they usually are in the same voice, and that's when I ask people, do you talk to yourself? No, no, I don't talk to myself. Oh, so you don't think.
Right?
What? What? Do you think? Well, yeah. I said, so when you're thinking, whose voice do you hear? Well, mine. Well, so you're talking to yourself. We're
Yes.
having conversations with ourselves all the time.
Yes.
We do that. But you're right in that the conversations that get played, they sound like it's us saying it, but I think there's definitely, a connection with either something that is more powerful than we or those other messages are, or it's the loser, putting his stamp on us again. Uh,
Hmm.
when he can't, his stamp's not going to stick if we belong to
Yeah.
him. But so we're not going to be possessed by this, but we are perfectly capable of being influenced,
Oh, yeah.
you know, by Satan and by the forces of evil and not good.
Hmm.
So we've got to remember that we're not bulletproof when it comes to that. He's not going to kill us, and he's not going to take away from us our birthright, but he can sure make us have a hard time if
Yeah.
we if we allow that to happen.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most important pieces of work that we need to do when it comes to identity is sort who are we in Jesus Christ?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we have these 3 pages of characteristics of God backed up by scripture, and I don't I don't think we got all of them. Like I think there's probably 27,000 more pages of characteristics of God, like run out of adjectives in every
Yeah.
language. Um, they're all really powerful, wonderful things. And that is who we are in any given moment. And we don't know what that looks like half the time. And I think the worst thing is that we're not asking. That's the key to identity is, are you asking the Lord who you are? Or are
Yeah.
you just going with pop culture, what your sister said, what your best friend's telling you over lunch today? Like, what are you doing with this? You need to ask, you need to seek, knock. And when you do, guess what? There's answers there.
Oh, and they're everywhere.
Hmm.
They're everywhere. I frequently will guide clients to the first 2 chapters of Ephesians, and say,
Oh yeah.
these 2 chapters are chock full of who you are, of who God has already decided for you if you choose Him. you know and just in the first 10 verses of chapter 1, there's holy and blameless and adopted and redeemed and forgiven and chosen and gifts. So I am, because of him, holy and blameless and adopted and redeemed and forgiven, and I'm chosen. He picked me out, and you and everybody else who understands who God is and submits their hearts and lives to him. But when you say there's 3 pages of the character of God, the first thing that part of me wants to do, that part we don't like to talk about, is roll my eyes and say, I can never do that. That's pages. That's a list, and that's probably 20 or 25 items per page. And I'm
Oh
a
yeah, at
pretty
least.
I'm a pretty simple individual,
Yeah.
and so I've got to remember, or I can go to Galatians and I can look at the fruits of the Spirit.
Yep.
Say, that's a great start. That's
Yeah, it's
like
a little
8 things.
simple. Yeah.
Okay. It's like
Yeah.
8 things.
Yeah.
And you know what? As I look at those things, and I know you have them memorized. I don't, but I know some of them are, but as I look, what are they?
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control.
If my life is known by others for exhibiting those things and giving God the credit,
Yeah.
and loving God and loving people, because that's one of the things that happens naturally when we love God.
Yes.
But if my life shows those things, and when I'm gone and people say, those are the things that we remember, and we remember that he relied on God to give him those things, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good with that. Perfection is not anything God has ever asked out of any of us. He's
Hmm.
just asked for our best.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that so much. And I think, when we get in these spaces where we don't know what to do, we don't know how to show up in there. I called my horse trainer because he had technical knowledge, but he also really models Jesus because he does natural horsemanship and he builds a relationship with the horse and there's trust and respect, and it's really amazing to experience that and learn how to do that.
Hmm.
And I don't pretend to have anywhere near the amount of skill that this guy does. But I can ask him, what does it look like, right? And that's why we're supposed to do life in community. And you got to pick that community pretty carefully because most
Yeah.
people just want you to be happy and they don't know. We all need friends that say to us, so have you prayed about this? What's God telling you? Yeah. Stop with the let's be happy thing.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, you know, people are like, okay, that all sounds fine and dandy. How do I get there? Um, yeah, so the damage that's been done in your life is real. Everybody's got false beliefs and or fears that drive behavior. So the way you're showing up right now, you're doing your best, but a lot of that's not in alignment with scripture and the will of God because you don't know a different way of being. Your identity is sorted by people or the enemy in that space.
Hmm.
And so we have to heal that. And with the work that we do, we use healing prayer experiences that the Lord, like we don't tell you what to work on, the Lord does that. And we just facilitate an environment. Nobody talks to us when we do it. It's a really cool experience. And then other people come see you because they need therapy in that space for healing. And I've sent clients to therapy because everything that we've done, even when we've done deliverance type of praying, there's still something there. And I don't pretend to be like a genius in this space to give therapy to somebody. I can't do that. So that's when what you do comes in handy. And I have a question for you around this. When you're looking at like people that have had traumas and they've worked through a therapeutic process and they've conquered that and they've been able to show up differently, how would you, like, what do you think changes within them to be able to then show up so differently, manifest some kind of confidence? What is it that's really shifting in there for them in your experience?
I think the two words that come to my mind are fear and trust.
Hmm.
First off, they've got to recognize the things that are causing their fear and their distrust, either for the process or, for people or whatever it might mean. And those things manifest themselves in our behaviors and our attitudes and
Yeah.
the way that we're seen and understood by other people. And it takes a great deal of courage in the midst of that fear to trust something or someone enough to step in and say, I will,
Yeah.
I will. But once they do and they see and they experience, then it's like, I just want more of that.
Right. Yeah. The
I don't want to
motivation.
stop this process. I want more of it because it is
Yep.
so much better.
Hmm.
I mean, let's face it, nothing is better than what we have given to us by Satan.
Yep.
Nothing at all is better than all that garbage.
Right.
So anything positive on the other side of that line is going to be something that people are going to want to rejoice about. They're going to understand what it means to be content and to be
Yes.
fulfilled and to be satisfied. And
Hmm.
and so it's those are the things that come to my mind. Is one of the things that we have to name and normalize it, and then determine to overcome.
Hmm.
And then we have to put forth the courage that says, okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what it looks like, feels like, smells like, tastes like, but I believe it. It's possible. I believe it can be true, and I take the step.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's such a big deal because without that action, people stay stuck. And I tell people all the time, our marriage transformation clients, I'd rather see you do this badly than keep doing what you're doing that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we tell them to stop conversations that are emotional. Don't participate in them. Have zero tolerance for
Yeah.
conversation when you're emotional. And people don't know how to do that well. Like it takes them a long time to figure out how to do it well. Even when we give them the words to say, they're like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, yeah, I know. But just try it. Just try it. And so you see them when they're emotional go, you can't talk to me like this. I'm out of here. They do the bad version of that, but they did it. Right. And then
Yeah.
they don't know what to do with themselves because they're like, oh, I stopped to think. Like, yeah, good job. If you had a do over, what would you do differently? Well, I can see myself saying, okay, I love you. I want to talk and we can both be calm about this. Let's try again later. Like then they can be healthy. But it's like you got to break something. You got to take
Yeah.
a risk to your point. You got to act,
Yeah.
trust somebody and act even if you do it poorly. Like that changes the game big time.
Mhm. Well, the thing that I would suggest to people and do suggest to people, and just, or what I'll leave you with today
Hmm.
is a difficult process and one of the most difficult things to do, but probably one of the most important. And this is something that we used to preach real strong in addiction,
Mm.
is that when you're moving from, one thing to the antithesis of that, I'm going to learn to say that word one day without stuttering over it and stumbling over it. But when you're moving from one side to the other, it's probably important for you to very, very heartily consider changing your playmates and
Hmm.
changing your playpen,
Yep.
because the people that we associate ourselves with are very frequently the source of some of the difficulty that we carry with us and the things that we wear that we don't want to wear.
Yeah.
And so adding to our lives, people that are like believers, people
Hmm.
that are encouragers, people that you see, they don't ever take people down, they just pull
Yes.
people up, and or
Yep.
worst case scenario, they just pull them with them. Okay. I don't know if it's up or what, but I'm just going to pull you with me. And I'm
There you
happy
go.
to do that with somebody that's willing to pull me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so, putting yourself in places and positions where there are people like that
Hmm.
is, is I think key for most of us in order to see our identities go from something that we drag around with us to something that we're proud of.
Yeah. I love that. And it's really tapping into God's design, his will, his intention for our relationships to build each other up, to encourage one another. We are socially impacted by other people. Let's choose people that we want to be like, that are modeling Christ for us in those spaces because he is our identity. So let's use that wiring in a positive way. And when we're struggling and we don't have somebody handy, guess who's always awake? Jesus.
Yeah.
24/7. You're not sleeping. Yeah. So we can reach out to him. And sometimes you have to go through a therapeutic process, whether it's therapy or coaching with healing prayer, to really sort these things out because it's human nature to carry around what your math teacher told you when you were, a ninth grader. I have some of those wounds too, that the Lord has healed me of, and I'm so grateful for that. There's freedom there.
Yes,
And
there
we
is.
want that. Both of us want that for our people. So, anyway, thank you so much for poking around in this topic today. Identity is a key issue for everyone. If you know you need therapy and you live in the big state of Texas, guess what? Kyle is your guy. Kyle Hargrove, KYLEHARGROVE LPC @gmail.com. You can reach him. And be sure to stick around for the next episode and dealing with conflict, improving your relationships. Like and subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and share this with somebody who you feel could benefit. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll talk soon.